News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make 93.3 FM a preset for sure, y'all. Okay, want to just finish off on Israel and how Joe Biden is going after them and just trying to stop their ability to exist in the West Bank, which was given to them. And there's entanglements and such, but it was it was Jordan that they fought in 48 for that land, and it was granted to them through, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, it's kind of a lengthy title here, the League of Nations Mandate for Palestine. It was granted to Britain to create a Jewish national home. So, hello. And Joe Biden saying, no settlements, they're bad, no settlements. Guess what else? Closing this out, the Journal says, another slap. This is another slap at Israel at a vulnerable time. February 1st, Biden created an open-ended sanctions regime that can hit any Israelis that threaten the peace, security, or stability of the West Bank. The entire leadership of Palestinian leadership would fit that criteria, but Biden's trying to award them a state, which should never happen. 45% of every Palestinian supports the Jew-killing and Jew-raping Hamas to this very moment. And they're teaching kindergartners. They're reading Hitler. There's notations in the books. There's maps that show. I mean, I got to tell you, I'll be shocked if 15 to 20% of people that are Gazans actually don't hate the Jews and want to kill them. So it is what it is, man. No permanent state ever. None. Have Egypt take you in. Oh, they won't. Have Jordan take you in. Oh, they won't. Have Saudi Arabia take you in. Oh, they won't. Have Iran take you in. Oh, they won't. Have Lebanon take you in. Oh, they won't. Have any Muslim country, any Muslim nation take you in. Oh, they won't. Maybe it's time you ask yourself why they won't. Why they are denying their own folks, quote unquote. You know what I mean? For the people of their own faith, of their own way of life. They can answer that for you, why they won't let them come in and won't let them stay there. But the Houthi attack, one more quick point on this. Houthi attack on the ship off Yemen, off of a ship. So let me repeat this. Houthi attack on ship off Yemen kills 2. So they are now slaughtering people. This is a carrier. The carrier True Confidence is the name of it. Caught fire after being hit early Wednesday by a missile. It sailed 50 nautical miles towards southwest of Aden, which is the South Yemen. There's a port of Aden where they blew up one of our marine, or what do you call it, our Navy ships. If you recall that terror attack under Bill Clinton while he was president. So 2 were killed in the attack, and so they're blowing up and killing people that are trying to move cargo globally into our country, into Europe. I mean, world trade is being devastated by this because Joe Biden doesn't have 1 testicle, let alone 2. He's afraid. He wants third world countries to run the show, and they are. We have a vacuum of leadership in this world. Now, as far as crime, what have I told you over and over and over again? I have told you, with regard to crime and the police, that the death of St. George Floyd, blessed be his name, from a drug overdose while in the custody of Minneapolis police, lit a fire under a lot of liberals, a lot of Democrats, and a lot of Marxists, and a lot of America haters, Constitution haters, founder haters, and I'll go back to it again, just America haters. And what they did was they said, defund the police, defund the police, defund the police. For example, Mayor London Breed of San Francisco was one of the first people to come out and say that. And I told you that the consequences of this, and I've been telling you for several years now since St. George Floyd, blessed be his name, passed from that drug overdose, that the folks that marched with these Black Lives Matter, Marxist, godless, militant leftists who hate America, you are responsible for chasing away thousands and thousands and thousands of cops, vilifying them, attacking them, neutering them. They left. And what you are seeing is nothing compared to what is coming. Police departments across America are absolutely devastated. I will lay this out for you. From Austin to, we got Austin to New York police to, what was the other one I have? Houston. And the people, if you supported this crap, anyone who supported this crap and worshipped St. George Floyd, blessed be his name, you are responsible for this. And you have destroyed the people you claim to care about in the inner city minority folks who don't have any cops, comparatively speaking, and this is just getting started. Nobody, except a few heroes that have got a pair and really know this is a calling and are still doing it, which I'm thankful for them. Many people have left, retired, or went into suburban departments where they're not crapped on, and they're treated well and they're paid well. And they are allowed to chase, put spike strips down, pit and maneuver, anything they need to do to get the job done properly. And they don't go to jail, get doxxed, and get arrested or attacked by the woke George Soros DA named Let Him Go Crusoe in Dallas County. This is just the beginning, though. A year from now, 5 years from now, 8 years from now, if you're lucky, in 10 or 12 years, some people will start to come back to it in the cities that don't crap on our cops. But you have destroyed peace and safety and police response in most of our larger cities throughout America. Shame on you. But you know what? You're screwing the people you marched for. Those are the ones getting hurt the worst. Here's some stories. Number one, by the way, as far as Dallas, I will tell you this. Hours and hours for 911 calls, unless it's a homicide or armed robbery or something in progress or carjacking. You will fill out your own paperwork for theft if you own a business. If they steal from you, your hours and hours you'll wait for an accident if you even do get anybody to show up. Austin, Texas. Quote, they are at the brink of disaster as police shortages hit a crisis level. God help us all, is what one of the the Austin Police Association spokesperson just said, who represents the union. The residents of Austin are expressing outrage, staffing shortages, longer 911 calls. They're putting the city on brink of disaster, said the Austin Police Association. I've got so much more. You're going to hear the story of a mother and her two children who got into a car crash and were bloodied, and what they had to do. It's shocking what they had to go through to get help. Then you're going to hear from Houston. 260,000 criminal cases over the past 8 years dropped. Why? It has to do with St. George Floyd. Blessed be his name. San Francisco passing more stringent law and order measures. New York police going nuts. Actually, New York City going nuts with some things they should have done and never changed after St. George Floyd died. Blessed be his name. And then San Francisco as well. All that next on the Chris Crock Show. And our call, if you want to call in, here's my questions for you. Do you think the fallout of all the anti-police movement is going to get worse in the coming years, as I do? And have you noticed a lack of policing and police responses in police response in blue cities and Texas and beyond? Have you noticed a lack of policing and police response in blue cities and Texas and beyond? All that next. Your call, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Okay, so Austin, they're at the brink of disaster as police shortages hit crisis level. God help us all, says the Austin Police Association. And here we go. Every year since 2017, they've lost more officers than they've hired in Austin. We had our gut we had to gut our specialized unit and force detectives to work backfill on patrol just to try to respond to 911 calls. Staffing been set back at least 15 years as the city has exploded with another 250,000 residents. So look, they've gone back to levels 15 years ago while they've added 250,000 people. What do you think that means? That's bad. You should be adding a ton of people. You combine that with a district attorney who's made it very clear that targeting officers and releasing criminals is his priority. Yeah, it's because he's a George Soros-backed DA. Following the Black Lives Matter violent riots, Austin City Council voted unanimously to cut $150 million from police budget, 34% of its total, and reinvest the funds into other stupid social services that are a disaster, obviously. One woman, a mother of two who lives in Austin, told Fox Digital that she placed a 911 call. She said the days of knowing you'd receive help when calling 911 are long gone. She was unable to get help following a 2022 car accident involving her young children. We needed an ambulance, some emergency assistance because not only was my car totaled, my children were both bleeding and visibly injured, she said. Her kids were only 8 and 2 years old. I called 911, and to my surprise, it rang and rang endlessly. 911 in the city of Austin, a large city, only to be routed to a 311 operator for non-emergencies. She was left to call a lift to take her to the hospital. My children were bleeding. Over an hour had passed. Police never showed up. One man whose brother was killed in one of the most high-profile mass shootings in recent Austin history said his sibling would still be alive today if the police department wasn't defunded. I found out the anti-gang task force, which I guess is what shot them up, gangland shooting. I found out, he says, the anti-gang task force, along with the most preventative crime measures, were the ones that were defunded due to prejudicial concerns about the ethnicity of the people being targeted by these factions of the APD. Woke, Soros-backed Travis County DA Joe Garza, his decision not to pursue charges against several other gang members who were at the scene. That's what you get. And we're seeing it in Dallas. A little bit quieter, but we're seeing it in Dallas because George Soros helped get, 2 times, has helped get Woke, Let Him Go Crusoe elected by giving him hundreds of thousands of dollars toward getting him reelected. Now, in Houston, over 260,000 criminal cases suspended due to a lack of personnel code. What this means is they don't have enough people. 10% of all crimes of the 2.8 million incident reports have never been handled. They don't have enough personnel. They administratively suspended 4,017 cases of alleged sexual assault. A closer examination by the shows the code expanded to all other divisions of the department. Again, as lack of personnel. They don't have the people in Houston. Pittsburgh police will not send officers to certain emergency calls. Instead, will redirect you to a telephone unit because they don't have the cops either. That's a woke city, too. San Francisco, the first city, one of the first ones to defund police under its mayor, London Breed, now doing a U-turn, passing law and order measures by large margin, including drug screening for welfare recipients. They also have one of the other things they pushed, in addition to the welfare requirement, is another stricter, tougher on crime policy. New York City just announced today, Mayor Eric Adams just announced today, he's bringing back bag checks. He's doing bag checks for subway riders after a 13% crime spike in subway crime after a decade of the city's stop and frisk policy was deemed unconstitutional. Now, look, the stop and frisk policy is not unconstitutional. I learned about this in community college and in college when I studied criminal justice, and I wanted to be a cop or a federal law enforcement official. Ended up doing broadcasting, and stop and frisk is a lawful constitutional thing. The only reason why it was stopped in New York City is not because it's unconstitutional, but because the leftist, pathetic Mayor Bill de Blasio announced he would no longer fight a lawsuit from the Center for Constitutional Rights. All he had to do was continue to fight the policy, and he would have won. Stop and frisk is constitutional. It is legal, and I guarantee a lot of people in Texas, a lot of cops in Texas do it in good cities because that's what you do. You stop and you frisk when you have a reason to stop and frisk, a constitutionally reasonable one. You see something suspicious, they made a description, they're acting suspicious, something that is a red flag for our cops that are on the beat. They do it, they stop and they frisk, and they can do that. So I'll go into detail what a stop and frisk is coming up next. But first, I want to take your call at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Do you think the fallout of all the anti-cop movement is getting worse in the coming years, as I do? And have you noticed a lack of policing and police response in blue cities in Texas and beyond? 800-288-9227 is our number. Josh in Grapevine, you're on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. Hello.
Hey, Chris.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, it is. It is. When you defund the police, it's the natural progression of things, especially when you do it in a major city where there's already going to be, high crime. That's just that just goes hand in hand. Not that they have high crime, but they're going to fall prey to it quicker than smaller cities.
Mm-hmm.
And we see this. I mean, if you look at, examples like San Francisco, and what they've turned that beautiful, used to be, Golden City on the Hill, and it's a dump now. And Austin, I love Austin. I live in Fort Worth. I love going out to the Brazos and floating the river, on the Memorial Day holidays and stuff like that. But those, it's.
We lived in Austin, my wife and I, for a couple of years, right, 2 years in the late 90s. We loved it. And even though politics are not on our side, it's still an amazing place. And it's unbelievable to see the explosive growth to the point where it's almost the same size as San Antonio now. It's unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, you're not safe there anymore. I mean, you're not.
You're not, and I don't understand, the liberal, this goes back, I want to say I heard someone on the James show a few weeks ago, and they were talking about, liberals have given up the ability of critical thinking.
Yes,
they're
absolutely.
just sheer emotion-based. And this is not me attacking them. This is just me observing what they do to the cities they live in, because these are blue cities.
Right.
We don't do this in the country. We don't do this, unfortunately, I'd say even Fort Worth is slowly beginning to fall a little prey to some of this liberalism as well.
Yes, it's like a milquetoast Republican city, unfortunately. There's a lot of good folks that are in Tarrant that work, that run things. I got to go, Josh, but I really appreciate your great call tonight on the Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Look forward to your next one. I want to add one last thing. New York Police, Adams is now also, through Kathy Hochul, she's calling up the National Guard to do the bag checks. You laughed at this before, Kathy. You guys, they're an embarrassment upon themselves. The people suffer, but they keep voting for crap, they're going to get crap. You vote for swill, you get swill. Up next, a breaking news road rage case today. I've got the audio. It is scary and crazy. That happened just the other day in Dallas. That's next. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I'm also hearing, okay, this is pretty crazy. Watch this. I got this on my Twitter feed, and I can retweet it for you. Over 1,000 National Guard deployed all across New York City subway stations. Currently, over 1,000 National Guard members have been, deployed to subway stations. It's properly representing the war zone that New York is because of its pro-crime, progressive policies. Over 1,000 Guard members deployed to the subway stations. This follows Kathy Hochul, the New York governor's announcement. This week, she's deploying 1,000 guardsmen, state police, and MTA police to patrol the subways in an effort to combat the increasing crime across the city. Now, here's the other thing that's very interesting. It's pretty remarkable what I'm watching. You've got guardsmen with fully automatic weapons. You've got in their full uniforms and with side pistols too. It's pretty amazing. You have a state trooper with a a rifle as well. You've got 3 of them in a row. That's pretty profound in the New York City subways. There's some rumors from another person I saw, which are just merely rumors, but perhaps there's a threat from the Hamas terrorists. I don't know if there's any merit to that, but that was interesting to see. Okay, now, I saw this video on WFA TV Channel 8. I mean, the video's on social media, but they covered it and gave some more info on this, and it's terrible. It's very scary to think what people can do when they lose it and they do road rage. I'm telling you, you don't want to be involved in this. I'm telling you, you don't. People flip out and they freak out. I'm telling you, don't play the game. Here's some audio of this that I'm going to play for you. Then I'll describe what happened. Actually, I'll describe what happened first because it'll help you figure out what the audio is you're hearing. It's 2 separate vehicles that were both from my where I sit innocent in this. One person that was behind the road rage that had nothing to do with it from all appearances, that had a camera, dashboard camera, and caught this and honked at the bad guy. And another person who is in a truck towing a trailer, who on first blush appears to be the bad guy, but is not. Because you have somebody in an SUV that is insane, that couldn't hack the fact as they were going left and right, swerving on an off-ramp at 35, I believe 35E and 635, yes. And I've been on that area a bunch of times. My wife's been on it a bunch of times. This is terrifying to think about this. It's broad daylight, 1:45 Friday, so this is less than a week ago. In Dallas at 35E and 635 on an off-ramp. The driver shared this on his Instagram account. The truck drives, Channel 8 says, into the left lane. The SUV veers into the left and crashes into it. You have a crazed person in an SUV, not even a big one, like kind of a mediocre one as far as size. It's like, what are you doing? I wonder who's in there, too. I mean, is it some crazed mom? Is it some crazed man who's got a little thing, little member down there between his legs, so he acts like he's something big when he's not in his little tiny little fake SUV? I don't know, but the guy or gal is swerving, and I hope for the sake of the person in there, it's not a girl, because that's even more like horrific if it's a woman doing this crap. But they're swerving left and right insanely over 2 lanes, blocking this truck with the trailer from passing it. It's like, what the heck? The truck finally gets a little toe hold and goes around it, and the SUV decides to just plow into it by clipping it in the front of its fender. And the truck got past it, but the trailer didn't, and it ripped off the bumper of that idiot road raging. Here's the audio now, and I'll give you more details on this. Just listen to this. And I want you to think about when you have something happen to you, or when you have had something happen to you, don't freaking play the game. Don't even try to pass them. Let them be an idiot. Call 911 and just calmly relax. And if you have a firearm, like I do, don't pull it out. The only time to pull it out is when they're at your door, screaming at you or pounding on your car or attempting to get in. Then you pull it out all right. And when you initially pull it out, you produce it to de-escalate. You don't even have to point it at them. I would point it downward and hold it up and say, here you go. Get back off. If it's not at the point of that and they're yelling at you, say, I'm armed, get the hell out of here. And say it loudly and command them. If they don't and they start attacking the car or pounding on it, produce the weapon, point it down. That's my Chris Crock recommendation. If they actually are trying to break in the window or yank on the handle, you can then point it at them. But I'm telling you, I wouldn't shoot them unless they shatter that glass. And some people will say, and that's fine, but you can call me tonight and say that when it shatters glass, it's too late. If you shoot somebody, you're going to go through hell, even if it's a righteous shoot. And for me, you dang well better have a cut and dry, simple case. Because if you don't, you could be getting in big trouble. At the very least, even if it's a righteous shoot, you're going to spend thousands for a lawyer, and you're going to lose that gun, and you're going to go in front of a grand jury, which is why I have a program that I'm a member of that I pay a fee for protection and all this if something should go down. And I never have used it. I never will, because I don't want to. But it's there for a tool. All right, 800-288-WBAP is the number, 800-288-9227. I want you to be able to chime in right now on this. What would you do in this instance where somebody's raging on you for whatever reason and you're trying to get around them and they won't let you? I mean, do you really, would you, if they keep swerving wildly on an off-ramp with 2 lanes, left and right, so that you can't pass them, what do you do in that situation? What would you do? Would you try to go around them like this truck did and then they rammed into you? Or would you just stay behind them? Because if you're behind them, you control it. You understand that? If you're behind them, you control it, the situation. When you go sideways, try to pass them or get in front of them, they're in control. Same thing happens with a DWI, a person with a drunk. This happened to my wife was in a car with her friend, and it was packed with friends. This is years and years ago. And there was a drunk illegal going all over the place, and it was so bad. And her friend drove around her. They were going to a bar or something like that. We were really young, just out of college. And they actually got hit. Nobody got injured, but they got hit, and they ran. The illegals hit them and ran. And they were drunk because they went around them. And then when they came up with the stoplight or stop sign or whatever it was, when they caught up to them, they hit them because they're drunk. Don't go around them. Stay behind them. You can control the situation. Cops, if you agree, great. If you don't, let me know. Your advice, etc. 800-288-WBP. And what have you seen and what have you experienced in this? And what would you do in this instance? And what do you recommend to somebody in this situation what they should do? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Here's the audio of what I'm talking about, Road Rage Dallas Friday on the I-35-635 interchange at an off-ramp.
Peanut gallery. When I grow up, I want to...
Let me stop it again. This is a person who's clearly listening to some sort of conservative type radio, which I appreciate. And if you catch any of it in the background, this is the truck, and he drives around them, and this person just wildly crashes into them as the trailer, like by driving through and past this guy. As he hits him, the trailer yanks his bumper off. It's rather funny for this loser. Here it is again.
I'm fond of peanut gallery. When I grow up, I want to be obsessed with emotional safety. All day long. When I grow up, I want to climb the corporate ladder.
That's from inside of the truck. He's got a massive truck, and there's an idiot in a mini, a smaller type of an SUV. It's not a real one as far as I'm concerned. Crashing into him. He's just always trying to just pass this guy. And then here's another person that comes up behind them and gets it on their dash cam showing the same thing. The only person to fall here as far as I'm concerned is the SUV guy. But here is a person following them with their dash cam and some audio in their car, too. So you heard that crash that we heard from the inside of the first vehicle that was hit, and then him. You don't want to deal with it. That guy's car was ripped apart, the bad guy or girl. What would you do in this instance? We're trying to pass somebody in the road rage and they're cutting you off from every angle. You're trying to go around them. And what do you recommend somebody in this situation do? And if you've ever been in a situation like this, give me a call. Tell me your story and how you handled it and what went down. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. That's next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. This is a truck and SUV road rage incident, WFA TV Channel 8 reporting, and I played you the audio from the social media feeds of two separate people that witnessed it that were not the bad guys. Part of the dash cam video, SUV driver appears to be brake checking in front of a truck and trying to keep the truck driver from getting around him. The truck drives into the left lane trying to get around the SUV. The SUV then veers into the left and crashes into the truck. The truck continues to drive forward. The flatbed trailer rips the bumper off the SUV before driving away. It is not known what sparked the incident. Channel 8 says Dallas police have no idea what this is about. They're checking into it. And it's wild. Man, you cannot play around on these highways. I'm telling you. I'm not saying go be afraid of everybody. I'm telling you, be wise. Don't be a fool. Ben, I want to hear from you about your experiences with road rage cases, and what would you do in this instance, and what do you recommend somebody do in a situation like this? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Let's go to Benton in Las Colinas. You're on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, Benton.
Hey, Chris. I was driving through a residential area over by Webb Chapel Hill and Northwest Highway, and I had a right turn, a left turn, and one straight lane out of one lane. And I was in the turn lane. I thought I was in the straight lane. I went straight and cut the guy off. And he chased, I'm in a little Subaru Legacy, and he chased me in his big jacked up truck for 10, 15 blocks. Finally got stopped at a light, and I see him getting out. So I had just bought my daughter a wiffle bat. And I get out with that wiffle bat. He gets back in, and I go up and start banging on his truck. And he doesn't know it's a plastic bat, and it didn't do any damage. And I beat on that truck 15, 20 times. And when I saw it wasn't damaging anything, I really started laughing like a crazy man because it was so funny. And when he pulled over later, he gets out to see all the damage, and there is none. It had to freak him out. It was hilarious. But I shouldn't have got out, but I was just, I was scared. And I wasn't thinking clearly.
So that's the thing where, and I'm not going to claim I'm any better than you, because I'm not. I've lost it too and acted a fool on the road. I mean, we all have, and if we haven't, maybe some haven't. Maybe some would say, speak for yourself, Chris and Benton. But I got out once, and this was when I was in junior college. I was a punk, and I thought I knew everything. And I got out of the car, and I recognized the guy from my high school, but here we are 2-3 years out of high school, or whatever it was, a year or two out of high school. I don't know. Anyway, I was on the 3-year plan for my junior college before I transferred for my last 2 years. Although I graduated in a year and a half, so it was only, what was that then? It was 4.5 years. That's not too shabby. But anyway, I got out. I worked at a high-end audio-video place that installed stuff in cars and in homes. We did Michael Jordan's car. We did Scottie Pippen's boat. This was in the heyday of the Bulls. And growing up in Chicagoland. And I got out of my car. I had a little remote that came with my Alpine, very expensive, very, very, very nice head unit for my stereo, and I had a Alpine 6-disc changer, all just an incredible system in the car, and had a car that was worth like $4,000 if I was lucky. But I got my gear. It was probably $4,000 or $5,000 with a gear for like $1,000 or $2,000 because I had tremendous discounts. Anyways, I get out of the car. I happen to have that little remote in my hand. And we go at it, and this guy just whooped my ass in like 20 seconds. I mean, he got a punch or two in. I was on the ground, and I crushed my remote by falling on it on my hand. And I was like, I'm on the ground out here at a stoplight like an idiot. And I got my ass whooped by some dork that I went to high school with. I don't know his guy's name. I just remember him coming out and beating me good. So I'm like, this is what you do when you act a fool. And so I'm glad you caught yourself and you said right there that you never should have gotten out of the car. And that's what my message is to all of us. Don't ever get out of the car. You get out of the car, you're just as guilty. Stay in that car. Yeah. Keep your doors locked. Don't, if you want to communicate and the windows are up, one little crack, like 1/8 of an inch, so they can't get their hands in there and try to yank down or anything. If they try to jerk the handle and open in your car, if they're banging trying to smash the window, that is just like breaking in your house, and you can shoot them and kill them. I wouldn't unless you have to. But the other thing is, here's the thing. Let's posit something that I thought about when you were telling me your story, which is riveting, even though it was a wiffle bat, which is so funny. If that man thought, and he did think it was a real weapon, okay, if you attack his car with a bat, that could smash the window. He can shoot you and kill you and have reasonable fear. So, I mean, you could have been shot and killed, and I'm sure you have a wife and kids, don't you?
I have a kid. The ex she moved to downtown Chicago a year and a half ago.
I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry for that's sorry for her and for whatever right. Yeah. But I will say this for moving to Chicago. But I will say this. What would your daughter have said if she knew her dad got shot and killed because he busted out a wiffle bat.
Yeah.
And is she old enough to be on the news crying and saying, help me, and it was GoFundMe to help me pay for my dad's funeral. So I'm glad you saw that, and I want all of us. I'm not doing that to shame you. I'm doing that for all you and me to get our heads out of our ass and stay alive and not do something dumb. Great story, Benton. Thank you for sharing, my friend.
Thank you, brother.
Take care. You too, brother. All right. I love that guy right there. Some real camaraderie in our call.